All right, folks, welcome to Boxing Time. This is the big Coil book. Again, slightly different versions. I think this was the version 4 Coil book. So again, Boxing Time itself didn't change much at all except for typos. All right, we've got a middleweight matchup of all time. This, ironically, was considered a possibility, but never happened because Carlos Monzon, who was the middleweight champ, was at the end of his career, as Marvin Hagler was trying to prove and earn enough respect that he could get, ranked bouts. I mean, Marvin Hagler, I think, was like 33, 37-0 before he started getting any kind of serious attention, and I don't know why that is, except that he was groomed. Marvin Hagler was known as a debutante, and what that refers to is boxers who have long, sculpted amateur careers. They get picked up by a manager or trainer, and that guy really takes care of them, trains them, and then, of course, carefully structures their amateur careers. And, of course, they still have to go out and win the fights. They still have to go out and be champion. And Marvin Hagler had a phenomenal amateur career and won the amateur championship. But he was, I think, a lot of things were being held against Marvin Hagler, so it was hard for him to get a real title shot. So the irony is, maybe there would have been a chance these two would have met in the ring. But Monzon is a legend. 87 wins, 3 losses his entire career. He had 9 draws, 59 KOs. Marvin Hagler had 62 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws, 52 KOs. Marvin Hagler, to me, and I've said it before, I make no bones, he is my favorite boxer of all time. Rocky Marciano, I think, is my favorite heavyweight. I think the greatest heavyweight of all time. And then again, Alexis Aguayo is, he would be a close second to Marvin Hagler for me. I just absolutely love the way Aguayo fought. He just had this, I don't know, uncanny ability to slip punches and counter punch that just... Marvin Hagler was remarkable in that he was a right-handed person, but he was ambidextrous in the ring. He could switch up on the fly to righty-lefty, righty-lefty. So he could give some guys a real challenge that way. And he could do so equally well. So, I think Alexis Aguayo, to me, watching his fights, Aguayo was a more precise boxer. Hagler, I think, had everything, right? But he wasn't quite as precise a boxer. I mean, not when you compare him to Sugar Ray Leonard and Aaron Pryor and those kind of guys. But Hagler, for a middleweight, had it all. He was the Hagler had to also overcome talk that he didn't have the fitness to go beyond 10 rounds, because he either didn't have to because he wasted guys, right? But he did against Roberto Duran, went the distance and won on the cards, and proved that, yeah, he definitely had the fitness. The irony is Hagler was famous for being ultra fit, but for some reason, one of the typical pundits with their knocks, they find something on a person, and they speculate, well, he ain't going to have the distance, he ain't going to have the legs, whatever. And it's always based on guesses, because there's no evidence. Anyway, without further ado, let's see Carlos Monzon and Marvin Hagler in this bout. I am putting Monzon, although he's the lower-rated boxer according to the history. So again, these boxers were rated by a third party. I had no control over the ratings. We tried to make sure that the ratings were... But Carlos Monzon actually is lower than Marvin, but I'm putting Carlos in the red corner because, in my opinion, he's a legend. I mean, Marvin Hagler is a legend too, but Monzon, in his prime, whew, Lord. So we're going to give red corner to Monzon. Plus, let's face it, if this fight would have happened... This is going to be a middleweight 15. If this fight had happened, it would have been a middleweight championship fight. Hagler would have been the he would have been the challenger, because Monzon defended his title 14 times. Hagler, for those who don't know, defended his title successfully 8 times, I think. Rocky Marciano successfully defended his title 6 times before he retired. So a lot of these guys had to really earn their way up. So once they got to the top, they were at kind of the end of their career. So, I can't remember. I think the record is Joe Louis, I think, holds the record. 26 title defenses of his heavyweight title. I think, again, don't quote me on these. I'm trying to remember. Memory is a horrible thing for anyone to rely on. Not just me, for anybody to rely on. And of course, I think Larry Holmes came very close to topping that record. It was part of Larry Holmes' legend, was his ability to defend his title for a long time. But Monzon had defended his title 14 times. Hagler, I believe, 6 or 8 times before he hung it up. All right, so let's get our bag grades. So we got a Monzon that would be a boxer, and Hagler is going to be a boxer. So it's going to be boxer versus boxer. A versus is going to be B for Monzon. And Hagler's going to be A versus, we're going to be B again. So our bag grades are the same. TKO is a big problem for Monzon. He's only a 6. Hagler is a 10. So Monzon may lose this fight on cuts and points. And the referee or doctor may be tempted to stop this fight. So Monzon is at a clear disadvantage in TKO rating. Endurance, they're both 10, so they will both fatigue at the same round. So if this thing goes to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, both boxers will have to adjust all of their ratings. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Let's get our red, white, and blue dice out here. There we go. And again, the red corner has the advantage of being red first. All right, here we go. The first minute is going to be Hagler dominating the first minute with 3 points to 0. So Monzon outfought early. Hagler comes out aggressive. Monzon gets 2. Hagler gets an event 4. Hagler's event 4 is 2 more points. That's 5. Already Hagler's in danger of taking a TKO point to Monzon. And Monzon will fail to score in the 3rd minute. And Hagler will score 6. That's a TKO point against Monzon. Not good, folks. So he's already showing some redness and swelling around the eyes as Hagler lays it to him. It's 10-9. Monzon loses round 1, 9-10. So Hagler's already accrued a TKO point against Monzon. Here we go. Oh, it's going to be Monzon coming out slow. So he's trying to decipher this southpaw turned righty, or this right-hander turned southpaw, and we're going to get a cut. Holy cow. So Marvin Hagler with an event 5 is a cut. Folks, that's another TKO point. So those red eyes, swollen red eyes, weren't a trick of the light. It turns out they were indeed being quickly affected by Hagler's jab. And Monzon is now bleeding already above the left eye. Monzon will score 1. Hagler fails to score in the 2nd minute. Monzon's got to get going here. And it's going to be, there it is. Monzon scores 3. He's going to win this round as Hagler is shut out on the points. 10-9 for Monzon. Hagler loses this round 9-10. Fails to score a point, but he did cut Monzon. So again, Monzon now has only 4 TKO points left. Can he hold on and survive? All right, here we go. Monzon comes out defending himself. Oh, we're going to see another 2-point. So what that means is something exciting like ring movement or combination. So Hagler lands a combination, 2 points scored against the ropes. Monzon covering up, trying to protect that eye. Monzon still covering up, doesn't score, but he keeps Hagler down to 1. In the 3rd minute, Monzon finally opens up with some combinations, but Hagler is going to score 5, and he just avoids. Monzon barely survives another TKO. Folks, 5-2. Hagler winning this round, 2 rounds to 1. This fight, 2 rounds to 1. The 4th round underway. Monzon comes out. They tell him, get off your stool, and you got to go out there and set the pace. Monzon pummels him with a couple of points worth of work. Monzon adds 1, Hagler being shut out, so he's got Hagler backpedaling. Hagler's in the defensive stance. Yep, and Monzon will win this round, folks, 4-0. Monzon now has tied it 2 rounds to 2 rounds. Holy cow, if he can avoid the TKO, Monzon may win this fight. All right, Hagler, 5th round, here we go. It's a good fight. Oh, Monzon comes out from his stool, scores 3. Hagler forced to cover up, backpedal, fight defensive. It's going to be Monzon scoring a TKO point. He lands another 3 points, lighting up Hagler, and that keeps Hagler in his shell. Hagler can't get a paw on Monzon. Monzon scores 9 points. The highest possible score you could get. Monzon, holy cow, with 3-3-3. I think I've seen this happen 3 straight. That's maybe happened 5 times in all of my bouts. That is a blistering round. Carlos Monzon absolutely figured Hagler out. In the 5th round, he has Hagler in a shell, backpedaling. However, 3rd minute, Hagler scores 3 as well. 6 points in the 3rd minute. That is the most violent round you could possibly have. But guess what? He's going to score 9 points and win the round 10-9. Holy cow, Hagler cannot afford to go into his shell like that. Here we go, round 6. Oh, Monzon not messing around. 2 more. That would imply, again, a combination or ring movement. He pins him on the ropes and then lands 2 points. Unbelievable. And Hagler scores 1, fighting off the ropes, 2-1. Oh, they're both covered up, trying to keep out of trouble. Monzon has avoided any more TKOs. Monzon's going to cut Hagler. Huge. Another TKO point against Hagler. Hagler will fail to score. Monzon 2, Hagler 1. Monzon wins that round 2-1. Hagler has now lost 3 straight rounds to Monzon. Unbelievable. Carlos Monzon with an early TKO trouble, with a bleeding cut. They've managed to get that cut closed. And he had a unbelievable fit. That might go down as the round of the year, right? That's going to be the round everyone talks about where Monzon absolutely obliterated Hagler for 2 minutes. And then Hagler fought back in the final minute and they went toe-to-toe. And that bell, when that bell rang, you know the ref had to step in and break them up in round number 5. Round 6, the punishment starts to add up as Hagler now is cut. And they are both suffering 2 TKO points now. Monzon, round 7. It's going to be 2-2. Son of a gun, folks. We got to fight toe-to-toe at the middle of the ring, 2-2. Monzon is going to cut Hagler, so the cut is wide open. Hagler with his 3rd TKO point. And Hagler, trying to cover up, cannot score a point. Oh, but then Hagler's backpedaling. Monzon scores 2 more. Holy cow, he's going to win that round. And Hagler gets only 2 as he backpedals. That tells me ring movement. But because he scored nothing, that means he literally was trying to get away from Monzon and avoid being pinned in the corner. Monzon wins his 4th straight round over the mighty, marvelous Marvin Hagler. Round 8, Monzon, the old man, says, you want a shot at my title? Come on, young Hagler. Here it goes. Oh, Monzon is going to score 2 with ring movement. That implies, again, because he scores 2 on the... No, it's 2. That implies he gets Hagler pinned in the corner. Hagler covers up, scores nothing. Remember, the dice and the numbers will tell you the story of the fight. You don't need it telling you left hands, right hands. You don't need any of that nonsense. 4, 2 more for Monzon, and Hagler covers up in the corner. Remember, this tells us an event, but because he fails to score, that tells us Hagler on the ropes, covers up, finally finds a way off the ropes. 3rd minute of round 8. Monzon scores a 6-point TKO point against Hagler. Hagler drops 3, but he'll lose the round. Oh my God, 6-3. Hagler has lost 4 rounds in a row, and he suffered a TKO point in the last 4 rounds. Monzon is waylaying Marvin Hagler. You gotta be kidding me. Hagler started with 10 TKO points. He only has 6 left, and we have 6 rounds left. 7. We have 7 rounds left. Hagler's had 4 TKO points in a row. Monzon started out with 2. He only had 4 to give, and he has gone on the offensive. You can imagine what happened. They fixed that cut. They told Monzon, quit worrying about whether he's in his right or left. Take it to him. No more trying to figure out Hagler. Just take it to him. Be the aggressor. And we saw Hagler suffer with aggressors. When Sugar Ray Leonard went on the aggressive, Hagler struggled with him. When Tommy Hearns was aggressive, Hagler struggled with him. Hagler actually struggled with aggressive boxers that were capable. I mean, you could be aggressive and stink, you're going to get dropped. But ironically, it's proven out, Hagler kind of had trouble with aggressive boxers who came out and took it to him. Here we go. Oh, they come out on fire, folks. The crowd on their feet. This may be the fight of the year. Both boxers score 3 points, the highest you can get in the round. 6 in the first minute of action. Had that been a knockdown chance, that would have been a KO, a KD, had either one of them done it. So they were on the verge of catching one on the chin. Gee, many Christmas. I'll roll them together. My Lord. Toe-to-toe at Ring Center. The crowd here on their feet in a 15-round championship bout. Monzon, another TKO point against Hagler. That cut is a bloody mess. So 3 more. That's 6. That is a TKO point. Hagler is backpedaling, covering up in the corner. Folks, I have never seen Marvin Hagler literally on the defensive in my life, in real life or in a tabletop boxing game. Hagler is literally covering up. That eye must be a bloody mess. Oh, and it works in the 3rd minute as Hagler stays out of trouble. But Monzon can't capitalize and score that magic 9 again. Hagler scores 3. Monzon, holy cow, folks. Hagler's lost 5 straight rounds. And he's been he's suffered a TKO point in every single round since. Monzon proving he is the legend we all anticipated. Holy cow. Will Hagler find a way out of this hole? 5 straight rounds he's lost. They are trying desperately to close this cut. Unbelievable. Monzon is opened a cut in the 6th, and then he opened it again in the 7th. Clearly, it's affecting Hagler. There it is, Monzon ring movement. He pins Hagler on the ropes, but he doesn't score a point. That's sad. But he's in command, ring generalship. But Hagler in the corner fights back, aggressive fighting from the corner. Oh, Monzon is definitely going for the kill. Pins him in the corner, scores 2 more. And Hagler has to cover up. So Monzon got him in the corner. Hagler scored a couple of punches. Then Monzon keeps him in the corner, nails him with a combination. Hagler covers up. Monzon keeps him in the corner, but fails to score, but he won't let him out. But Hagler fights aggressively off the corner. Finally, Hagler wins round 10, breaking the 5-round run and breaking the 5 straight TKO. Oh, my land. What a fight. Hagler in the ropes the whole round. Monzon rode 6 3 times. That means he put him in the corner, landed some punches, and kept him in the corner. Hagler fought out of the corner, ducked and covered, and then fought out of the corner at the end of the round. And because of that, Hagler, referees like seeing aggressive fighting when you're trapped in the corner. Hagler got the round. Judges said, hey, he went aggressive while trapped in the corner, but Monzon kept him trapped in the corner. Holy Jiminy Christmas, they both fatigued, folks. Monzon drops to a B versus Hagler's defense now, which drops to a B. C. So B versus B is, wait a second, he was a A, he's now a B because he's tired. Hagler was a defensive A, he drops to a B, so B versus B is C. So Monzon drops due to fatigue to a B. Hagler was an A versus Monzon's defensive A, drops to a B and a B. C. So they're both now C. So what this tells me is we're going to see lower output, which means they're both tired. So at round 10, fatigue has clearly set in for both. Remember, every grade drops. So if we get to knockdowns and other things, those grades have all dropped too. So folks, it looks like this is going to go the distance, barring a TKO. And Marvin Hagler's critics are going to notice this, and the writers are going to have a field day with this. Despite Monzon beating the living hell out of him for 5 straight rounds, Marvin Hagler is going to show on the scorecard how fatigue has affected him, because they're both C's now. Monzon's an old man. People might expect it. But Hagler, the critics have been talking about, can the man go beyond 10 rounds? Well, guess what? Here we go. Carlos Monzon and company. Carlos comes out defensive. Hagler comes out and scores a point with ring movement. So he's pinned Monzon on the neutral ropes. Monzon covering up, doesn't want to give up an easy out for Hagler. Hagler scores another one. So Hagler's got him on the ropes. He's getting the job done. And folks, it's going to be Monzon scoring 2 in the final minute. Hagler has to cover up. It's a 2-2 round, 10-10. It's a tied round in round 10. So, and look at the scores, 2-2. Prior to that, it was 2-4, 2-4, 9-2, 4-6, 6-2-2. And then it was 6-0, 5-0, 3-1, 2-3, 3-4, and now 2. Both boxers and the C output. Remember, think of this as action, boxing. It's why it's called the boxing action chart. It's how active the boxers are in scoring and impressing the judges. And now that they're both C, it's going to be interesting. Carlos Monzon has let him tie, but he's got this fight run so far. All right, Monzon's going to score a point. Hagler's going to cover up. It's going to be a much lower scoring if they both cover up. Or fatigue. You might want to see that as clinching. Holding by the back of the head, the ref has to break him up. Clinching and tying up arms, the ref has to break him up. So you would see now, because it's a fatigue-related 0, that it's got to be, they're tired. They're laying on each other. They're tying up arms. They're grabbing backs of heads. And the ref has to keep breaking them up. So that's what you would see C-chart zeros as. Oh, and they both finally unload 2 points each, but Monzon will win that round 10-9 with a 3-2 score. Hagler's in trouble, folks. He's going to have to score a knockdown or a knockout to win this fight. Round 13. It's going to be 2-6. There it is. Hagler levels him with an event 5, a cut. Uh-oh. He's opened up a cut. Whoops. Monzon scored 2. Hagler scored the cut. That's a TKO against Monzon. So he can still lose this fight by TKO. Unbelievable. Hagler's losing the fight, but opened up a cut over Monzon's left eye. Oh, Monzon gets a knockdown, folks. KD chance in the second. So Monzon comes out, Hagler trying to cover up and pick his points. Guess what? Pow! He gets lit. Holy cow. Let's go over here and look at our KD chart. Remember, KD is an automatic TKO point. So Hagler's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10 against Hagler. My God. Monzon, Hagler's desire drops. It's going to be a 6 and up. Hagler goes down. No, Hagler fights it off. But that KD, it's going to be a TKO point. 3rd minute. Oh no, Hagler didn't score in the 2nd minute. Okay, 3rd minute of the round. Oh, Monzon gets 2 more points. He's going to win this round 4-0. Monzon, despite the fatigue, his fatigue is better than Hagler's fatigue as he outscores Hagler 4-0 in that 13th round. Man, they are both bloody messes. Monzon is halfway to a TKO, and Hagler is 60% toward a TKO. Unbelievable. Round 14. 3. It's going to be 1 point for Monzon, 2 for Hagler. It's going to be 2 for Monzon, 0 for Hagler. Right now it's just scoring punches to win the rounds. And it's going to be 2 for Monzon and 2 for Hagler. He will win it 5-4. That was an explosive round for 2 tired boxers. As you know, both corners are whispering in their ear, you ain't got this one. Don't leave it to the judges. Go fight your fight. Monzon's corner isn't going to let up, although everyone knows who's winning this fight, right? Everyone, I think we all know who's winning this fight. Here it is, folks. Marvin Hagler trying to prove his mettle as a young up-and-comer, a debutante fighter, they call him, groomed by his manager and his trainer through the amateurs. He was an outsider, did not have one single big human being in the sport of boxing in his corner. So Hagler was an outsider, right? He wasn't going to get, he didn't have Don King, he didn't have Teddy Atlas, he didn't have these names in his side. So it took a lot of work for people to give Hagler his due respect. Here we go. Carlos Monzon comes out. Ding, ding, ding. Has both hands in the air as the crowd roars, knowing the champ has retained his title. Can Marvin Hagler turn the tide in the final moments? Nope. It's going to be Monzon 2-0, so Hagler on the defensive, backpedaling, trying to stay alive. Both of them with cuts open. Monzon scores 1. Hagler does score. Ring movement. Pins Monzon on the ropes. The crowd on their feet as Hagler's going for the kill. No, Monzon will 3. Score a point. Hagler will score 2, fighting him in the ropes. And that's going to be a 4-3 round. Guess who? Monzon outscored Hagler in the final moments. Folks, you got to be kidding me. That was the fight of the year, no doubt, with the single greatest round so far this year in a 9-point. This is, again, 9 points is rare. And Hagler managed 3 in the final minute. That was a 12-point round between these two fighters. 6, right? 4-6 is normal. So that's like triple the action. Holy cow. Monzon lost the first round. TKO points scored against him. Monzon won the second round but suffered a cut. Monzon lost the third round. He was down, folks, 2 rounds to 1, and then won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row before tying the 11th, then winning 12, 14, and 15. Monzon is a stud. Judge 1's all we need to tally the scores. 1, 2, 3, 3. Well, 115 minus 3. Wait a second. 15 times 10 minus 3. 147. All right, Hagler. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He lost the last 4 rounds. 150 minus 11. Hagler scored 139. He didn't just lose, folks. He was absolutely obliterated. That is a huge point differential. Normally, a boxer would go down or be TKO'd when he's getting his arse kicked like this. But that's how good Hagler was, right? As a boxer and as a defensive fighter and as a let's face it, a legend. So you would expect 2 legends. If it's very hard to knock down a guy like Hagler. Matter of fact, I don't think Hagler suffered a knockdown in his career, right? Maybe 1, maybe? I can't recall. All of his losses were by points, were controversial losses, which is why there are people who say Hagler should have been 67-0. But again, come on. But there is an argument that those were all controversial defeats by scores. This is an arse kicking. Monzon did not have the power and the youth to put Hagler out of his misery, so he just beat the living shite out of him. And scored the living shite out of him. Wow, that means Judge 2. Again, what does Judge 2 say? Oh, I guess I should get onto the charts here. Where's my boxing chart for judges? Judge 2, what I roll, a 4? Judge 2, 4, same as Judge 1. Yep, butt kicking, 147 to 139. I gotta be honest with you, if Judge 3 is counter to those two, he's blind man. He is. He counters it. Judge 3 actually thought Hagler won that fight 147, 139. Oh, wait, 139, 147. That's crazy. So winner, split, is Monzon, who, again, I would argue in their peaks, their absolute heyday, it would have been one of the single greatest fights in history. If you could have grabbed Monzon at his peak and Hagler at his peak, I think it would have been one of the greatest fights in history. And I was lucky enough to see most of Hagler's championship fights. I mean, very rarely did people get to see Hagler's early career because, again, he had nobody of fame in his boxing entourage that helped him get TV. He couldn't get on TV. He couldn't get noticed. He was really an outsider. So I got to see Hagler when he was already in his championship years, so to speak. And I loved him. I absolutely loved him. But Carlos Monzon, man, I don't know if anybody... I mean, the guy went 87-3 with 9 draws. Right? I mean, that's epic. 87-3. That's pretty special. And somehow Judge 3, being the absolute idiot that he is, actually saw Hagler winning that fight. That's crazy. Monzon winner, split decision, retains middleweight crown. And remember, Monzon did defend his title 14 times. So, pretty epic. Wow. Woo! Boy, I love my boxing game. I've said it before. Bar none, my Boxing Time game is my favorite boxing game. And ironically, it was not designed to play historical fights. It was designed for you to create boxers and play in a fictional universe. I've got to thank our friend and subscriber who was able to rate so many historical boxers for us in umpteen weight classes. This has been a blast. Absolute blast fighting these guys. So far, these are the only ones I've written down because I was doing a small tournament with them. And today, I added to that group Carlos Monzon. So I'm just going to keep slowly adding index cards to the table as I come up with fights I want to do. I purposely chose these guys to do a little tournament with. Marvin Hagler and Roberto Duran ended up fighting for my Big Country belt. Hagler beat Duran for the Big Country belt. And then yesterday on the channel, I had Roberto Duran and Ray Leonard go at it. Roberto Duran defeated Ray Leonard in a split decision in another brilliant fight. But this was one of the best tabletop bouts I've ever had in my life. Carlos Monzon and Marvin Hagler. That was truly epic. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.